Hello everyone, I'm your host Jasmine Phipps, and welcome back to an exciting episode of Spilling Tea with a POC. If you missed the last episode, go ahead and click off this onto that and then click back onto this one. Thank you. Okay, but for now, grab your tea and get ready to spill into today's episode with me. Oh wait, and before we begin, I have a special guest. I'm gonna let her introduce herself.
Hi everyone, I'm Alyjah. I'm a friend of Jazz's. I go to Cal Poly.
Yes.
I'm a third year business student studying marketing, and yeah, it's a little bit about me.
Yes. Okay. So also before we begin, make sure that you're following the official Spilling Tea with a POC Instagram at Spilling Tea with a POC. Okay. So today's topic is personal branding in your 20s, because we're 20.
We're 20 certified now. October, baby.
You feel me? Wait, are you a Scorpio? No, you're not a Scorpio.
No, I'm a Libra.
Oh, okay. It's okay. It's okay. Big Libra season. Hello. So today's episode is all about personal branding and networking, which Alyjah, let me say, if one person knows how to network, it's Alyjah. I'm just gonna let you know. We're gonna explore the importance of being yourself, the principle of giving to receive, focusing on your superpowers, developing a network on professional social medias like LinkedIn, and holding values and positivity, because holding values and positivity, because that's important for me. Okay, so when it comes to personal branding, authenticity is key. It's important to, be the best version of yourself without pretending to be somebody else, because you can smell a fake from, a mile away.
Yeah.
You can tell when somebody's not being authentic and being real on social media. Alyjah, can you share your thoughts on why authenticity is so crucial in personal branding?
I think it's so important because at the end of the day, we're all individuals. We all have our unique story. And I think especially if we're thinking in like the professional world with hard skills and soft skills, anybody can learn a skill. I'm a marketing major. You can teach marketing to anybody in the analytics, but it's those soft skills, those personal skills, those life experiences that are really going to set you apart from every other person. And then if we're thinking later into the conversation with networking, it's really going to affect who you decide to connect with, and maybe if they become a mentor, it's all about bringing that authenticity and what's unique about your story to these relationships, and that's really what's going to set you apart from another person.
I like that, and I agree. It's like if you're not being yourself, then people see that, and then it's harder to then believe you moving forward.
Exactly, and I think, like you said, you can tell when somebody's not being their real self, and that also feeds into trust. If you don't know if the person who's presenting themselves to you is their full authentic self, are you going to want to go out of your way to help them if you would believe that true version of them is who they really are? So authenticity is key for getting trust in other people and just building great relationships.
Okay, I like that. Well, I have another question. What advice would you give to young college students, or, the older generation of college students, struggling to find their authentic voice in their personal branding?
I definitely think that's the first step. I was super lucky when I got into Cal Poly. One of the first things I did was going to the Center for Leadership on campus and taking a certificate with them. And it required me to do a lot of self-reflection about what I value, who I am, what it is I really want to do in this world, because there's so many external influences that I think can affect what you gravitate towards or what you value. But I think that self-reflection, that introspection about who are you, what's your story, what do you value, is really going to make it easy for you as you continue on through life to see what's meant for you and really focus your energy on that. So I think building that sense of self, understanding who you are, is a foundation for everything else you will encounter later in life to be successful.
I like that. Build your own story. Create your own story. I talked about that in the last podcast. You are the only person writing the story of your life, so you get to choose how you write it. Another question I have for you. How do you balance authenticity with the need to adapt and evolve to, the constantly changing professional settings, when you go to hang out with your friends? How do you balance all that and navigate through the changes that you have to make?
That's a really good question. I think especially when you think about like your professional version of yourself, maybe your educational version of yourself when you're in the classroom versus when you're just hanging out with your friends. I think it's always, again, that sense of self is just a key component. Knowing who you are truly inside, what it is that you value, you're going to always carry that with you. And that's one thing I believe you should never change. Maybe the way you express yourself, certain words you use in certain situations that you would in others, that can all change. But I think, again, who you are, what's your story, why it is you're here, and why they benefit from you being in their presence, that's something that should never change. And maybe, again, you'll find different ways to express that. But keeping that story inside of you and carrying that with you is something that I think everybody should be mindful of.
Yes, I agree. Oh my gosh, was I not? Hello. Were you not able to hear me this whole... Oh, wait. Hello. Okay, wait, I think you can. Hello. Okay, hopefully you were able to hear me. But that's right, embrace your uniqueness and let it shine through in your personal brand. By staying true to who you are, you will attract the right opportunities and connections that align with your values and your goals. So, in your opinion, how can individuals' identity and embrace their true unique qualities? How can individuals I don't think I meant to put an and. Sorry. In your opinion, how can individuals embrace their unique qualities to enhance their personal brand? Like for me, example, I want to be a motivational speaker. You know, I like to talk. I like to, motivate people. So I guess in my situation, how would you, what advice would you give me to enhance these qualities to enhance my personal brand?
I think it's, again, about being vocal about what you're interested in. I think people, you may not realize that they see what strengths you carry in your daily life. And, we all have certain characteristics that come to mind with each person. So I think knowing that, getting people's feedback, saying, like, what do they see that is positive about you? What are your strengths? And also communicating what your goals are. I think that's a great way to increase your personal brand. Like, I'm somebody who's very creative. I love speaking with people. I love doing presentations. And so Cal Poly, with Christina, she asked me, she's like, oh, would you be interested in doing a panel? I'm like, yes, that's like something I'm super interested in. I love sharing my personal story and just giving advice to other people. So I think you can capitalize on that. What do you know to be true about you? What are your strengths? Sharing that with others, and just, eventually opportunities will align with you, and that will, of course, increase your personal brand.
I like that. I love that, actually. I love that. So the next topic we're going to get into is developing a network on social media platforms that are professional. In today's world, social media is so important. And I feel like I talk about this in class, we talk about this everywhere, but professional social media are also as powerful as, Instagram, Snapchat, Be Real, because, you always got to be real. But sorry. They're powerful tools for personal branding. And also, jobs do look at your social media. So you want to make sure that your social media is up to par and aligns with your values and your goals, because that can make or break whether you get the job or you don't. So taking advantage of these platforms such as LinkedIn to connect with industry professionals, potential employers, like-minded individuals who support your journey is important. I know you have successfully, Alyjah. I know you've successfully gone through this process, because I've even talked to her about, the resume, building a resume is important, whether you are trying to work for somebody or not. Let's be real. Building a resume is very, very important. But can you give tips to the listeners on how they can start or improve their LinkedIn profiles? Because I'm going to put over there, a little thing of her LinkedIn, because it is just, amazing. Let's start those connections today.
Yes, connect with me. So of course, I think everybody should have a LinkedIn if you have like professional aspirations and you want to work in the corporate world. Or even if you don't, it's still just a good thing to have. I'm a first generation college student, so LinkedIn I think was a really vital resource that I invested in and hopped on really early into my college career to build that network I really didn't have. And it's all through trial and error and just using the resources that are available to you. So I think obviously with LinkedIn, putting like a really professional, it doesn't even have to be professional, as long as it's a nice selfie and so people can see who it is that's like reaching out to them. And then just filling out all the available sections that is there. What experience do you have? Tell them a little bit about yourself. Your About Me section, take advantage of that. Like, who are you? What are your strengths? What is it that you're looking for? And then I guess the best way to start by building your network is seeing people that you have things in common with, because of course people are going to want to help others that they feel like they have a connection with. So whether it's you went to the same school, you went to Cal Poly, or clubs that you're a part of, or even for me, like I try to find like other Latinx, Hispanic people that are in the corporate world and reach out to them and say like, hey, like I see what you've done, it's really inspiring, here's a little bit about me, I would love to connect. And eventually, let's see, I started my LinkedIn my first year of college. I'm a third year now, and I think I just hit 500 connections. So
wow.
Again, I built it up over time and just through different initiatives I've been able to like expand it. But yeah, that's the best advice I can give. And LinkedIn has honestly given me so much. Like that's my best friend off our corner. That's where I find all the best resources. Like a really great mentors I have, Naja and Nisha, I found them on LinkedIn, and they've helped me so much with my professional career over the last year and a half that I've been connected with them. So again, it's just a really great resource to invest in. I know it can be a little intimidating, but again, as with everything in life, you just got to start with something. Take that first small step and you'll keep building on it as time passes.
Take that first step, y'all. 500 connections is crazy because
just love it.
Do you know 500 people? You must know 500 people because you have 500 connections. I know that like a lot of times, well, especially because we're juniors, third years, Cal Poly is weird. They be saying first year, second year, third year. I'm going to say juniors for the listeners who are not from Cal Poly. We are juniors, and it's important, especially now, to kind of find that internship, to find that. What advice would you give to listeners about that? Because I know there are a lot of younger listeners listening, and it's important to start your freshman year too. Like, don't start junior year. You can start now. You can even start if you're a high school student in you're coming into college. It's important to always start now because time keeps going whether you start now or later or you never start at all.
Definitely, I think it's never too early to start anything like that in life. So again, I started my LinkedIn when I came in as a first year student. I'm a business major. I wasn't always a business major, but I knew I wanted to switch and I wanted to get into marketing. So I think with that in mind, I also had an idea of where I wanted to be around junior, senior year, hopefully secure that big internship. And as I mentioned, I'm a first gen student, so I didn't really have the resources or the connections like that to, kind of know that I had that in the bag. So I guess how I started was just, again, building my resources, my connections, but also looking at like what were the available opportunities. And honestly, my first internship, it's the most intimidating one to get, and it took me months. I think I started applying to LinkedIn like odd jobs that were on there probably in November, and I didn't get an internship till May. And I went through so many different strategies. I noticed that, of course, I had no marketing experience. I wasn't even a business major. Nobody wanted to accept me or hire me. I didn't even get to the interview stage, honestly, for all those internship applications. But like,
they're lost.
I have like resiliency, and I'm a determined person. Like once I have my mindset on something, I'm gonna reach it. So I started changing my strategy. I started using LinkedIn to see like, okay, maybe these companies won't hire me, but I could see what marketing agencies are by my house. So over summer, I can commute, and so I started seeing marketing agencies by me. I would send them like a cold email. I would try and find whatever email it was that was on their website that was like a general email. I would say, hi, like I'm Alyjah. This is a little bit about me, my like little first year freshman resume. Send that to them and say like, this is what I like about your company. Like I would love the opportunity to connect. And luckily one of them ended up giving me a chance. And this was probably like 2 weeks before the year ended, freshman year. They were able to hire me. I think, again, one of the great things I talked about was my like leadership experience and, knowing myself, my leadership approach. And I think that really resonated with them, and they gave me the opportunity. And honestly, I'm so thankful for it because it really set the foundation for the other opportunities that have come my way. And, now that I'm in my junior year looking to secure that next summer internship, it's really all paved the path for me, and I can see how it's all built on each other. So again, LinkedIn, my best friend. Get on.
I want to touch on something she said, making sure that you hone in on your personal skills, your superpowers in a way. It's like everybody has different strengths. Nobody's strengths are the same. One person's strength may be public speaking. One person's strength may be math. It's like honing in on your skills and then, making it as dramatic as you can you're basically selling yourself to the employer. So making sure that you sell your strengths, your superpowers, so that they believe you can execute the job appropriately.
Yeah, I think to Jazz's point, like your personal brand is everything. As soon as you get into that interview, what's the first question most of the time that they ask you? Tell me about yourself. What's different about you and these 100 other applicants that applied? Why should I continue with you in the process? So knowing who you are, what is that's important to you, having your elevator pitch about where you come from, that's so important.
I like that.
It's like that differentiating factor.
Yeah.
That's what your personal brand is, your differentiating factor, what you're bringing to this organization that they're going to benefit from, how you're different from all the other employees that they already have there. Capitalize that. It's your time to brag in a humble way.
Yeah,
but, show that off.
Yes.
Who are you? Why are you special? So, yes, definitely.
Why can you do this job? Making sure that you're confident too. A lot of employers and a lot of people, period, they can see confidence from a mile away. If you're not confident, then it's like, okay, why am I going to listen to you?
Exactly.
You got to make sure that your confidence is there because, the more confident you are, the better people are going to be like, oh, okay, I like her. I like how confident she is. I like how, she walks with her head held high, her shoulders, up. I like that. So I really want to, let's take a little break real quick. Hey listeners, before we dive deeper into personal branding, I want to give a shout out to my book because if you don't know, I'm a published author and, I recently, well, not recently anymore. I guess I could change this to over a year ago, I republished my book. And if you would like to support a Black author, go ahead and check out my book. It's available on Amazon and also available on barnesandnoble.com. So now let's get back into the discussion. We were talking about how it's important to be confident, but also holding values and principles and being positive and bringing good energy into a room because, people remember the person who brought the best energy into the room, that like live energy. Your personal brand is not just about what you do, but it is also about who you are, as a person. To enhance your personal branding, it's essential to hold positive values, principles, and maintain a positive personality always, even when it's a little bit hard to do that. So the question I have for you is, what is one word, and this is very hard. What is one word you would use to describe yourself?
So hard. I've done 3. One.
Okay. You can change it to 3.
No. Let me try and think of that one. I'm gonna get you on one word.
Yeah, I was coming up with these questions. I was like, one word. Everybody does 3. Let's try 1. Let's make it a little bit harder.
Okay, I think I got my word.
You got it? Okay.
Introspective. I'm a very introspective person.
I like that.
I think it's like a superpower of mine. I'd say I think a lot about my actions. I do a lot of self-reflection. Like self-awareness is something that's really important to me. Constantly thinking about what am I doing in life? How can I better for it? If I'm doing something I'm not happy with, if my life isn't exactly where I'm satisfied with it at, like what am I doing that's contributing to that and how can I be better? How can I be a better coworker, a better friend, a better family member, cousin? And I think that self-reflection is something that's helped me all throughout my life. And again, it helps me identify my strengths and my weaknesses. And, when I'm talking to people, it's easier to connect with them. So I think self-reflection is critical to success. And, it makes you really open to feedback because we all need feedback and constructive criticism to continue in life and continue evolving. Nobody wants to stay the same. So I think introspective will be my word.
I like that. I don't got a word yet. I probably won't have a word like that one because that was good.
Oh, thank you.
But I really would say, even from knowing Alyjah, just for I guess 3 years is a long time, but it's not in a way. I actually didn't know you freshman year, I don't think.
We met fall last year. So
wow.
It's only been a year. It doesn't feel like that.
But I feel like, it doesn't. It definitely doesn't feel like that. But even just the way she carries herself, she's very positive. She's very Alyjah's done a lot. Okay, because when I looked at her resume, because she was helping me with my resume, and I was looking, I was like, how did I not know this? She is a very humble individual, but she is very accomplished as well. So it's important to surround yourself around people who have similar mindsets. They may want to go in different places, we may not want to go in the same career path, but her drive is very similar to mine. Putting yourself out there, that's definitely one thing that Alyjah does, and it's very important that you put yourself out there because if you don't, then nobody's going to know who you are. It's very important to put yourself out there, whether you have everything figured out right in the moment or you don't, you know?
I would love to touch on Jazz's point about who you surround yourself with, and I think it also ties into personal brand, because when you have your personal brand figured out, who you want to project that you are to the world, you know what key characteristics you carry, and you're looking for that in other people, because again, what they say is who you surround yourself by is a reflection of who you are.
Yes.
Tell me who your friends are, I'll tell you who you are. So I think, again, knowing what your personal brand is and being aware of that, you should be looking for that in the people you surround yourself with. Like Jazz said, we're both very motivated, driven individuals. We love talking to people. We love giving advice. You know, we connect a lot on those types of things. So when we're around each other, we are motivating each other to do better in that sense. We lift each other up. And again, your personal brand, it's to further you, but so are the people around you. If you don't have good influences around you, good support, you're never going to be able to reach that peak that you're striving for, because there's going to be people secretly wishing for you to stay back. So you want to surround yourself by people who feed into that personal brand of yours that you're trying to craft.
I do want to bring up an example of how Alyjah has done that for me. I remember I was just like, for the girls' basketball team, I was like, I'm just going to let it go. I don't want to. She's like, no, do it so that you can get the experience. And she kind of like, I don't know, you definitely pushed me a little bit more than I was myself, because I was just like, you know what, maybe this just isn't for me. Like, but now I'm actually having fun with it. I asked the right questions. I found the right people to, do the social media for the girls' basketball team, the women's basketball team. Sorry, we are women. Hello, 20. We are in our 20s, spilling tea in our 20s.
No teens.
But it's important to be around people who motivate you and who make you feel like, you guys are on equal levels. Whether people are smart or not, you never want to feel like somebody's bringing you down, because the more you're around negative energy, the more it does affect how you show up for yourself. So if you surround yourself around positive people, then you'll show up positive every time, for yourself.
Yeah, and I think it feeds into kind of what we were talking about earlier again about your personal strengths, the people around you. They're able to see that a lot easier than you can sometimes, because you're thinking about everything else that's going on in your life, and sometimes it's easier for you on your own to think about how it could go wrong or how it may not work out. And it's easier for people outside the situation to say Jazz, I know this is what you're passionate about. I know you're really good at this. Why don't you just give it the opportunity? And so that's again why it's so important to have people around you who know who you are, know your strengths, and can push you to do things that sometimes might be a little scary.
Yes, I want to, talk about, college is all about networking and being positive and authentic, will leave a lasting impression on others, because it definitely left a lasting impression on me, but I've been blessed to be around Alyjah. Can you give the listeners, what's your biggest tip? I guess it could be in college, for college students, incoming college students, what's your biggest tip that you would give to them? Or what would, this is a better one, sorry. What would you tell your freshman self?
I think I would tell myself to be less afraid of rejection.
Yes.
It's something I'm still working on.
We all are.
I think this summer was really pivotal for that, and just seeing what putting myself out there could do for me, how it could transform me. And I think I would tell myself to put yourself out there more, be less afraid of rejection. I feel like we often don't realize how much people are kind and want to help others. Yes. And I think it's so easy to assume I shouldn't do that. I'll look dumb, I'll look stupid. But I've always been somebody who's I'd rather try it and know it wasn't for me than always be left wondering. So I think it's something I'm working on. I'm proud of how I've been putting myself out there lately. But I think if, I could go back in time, I would definitely start that earlier, join more things, introduce myself to more people instead of being shy. It's never too late for anything in life. But if I could go back, I definitely would put myself out there more and be less afraid of rejection and what other people think.
I like that. And I love that, because I feel like a lot of times in this generation, even just with how social media is, we see everybody, their successes, but you never see somebody's failures. And so that's why we are so scared of rejection and failure. And it's just nobody wants to fail, but it takes failure to, take you to the next level so that you can succeed. Without failure, you can't succeed. So, that it's very important. If Alyjah would have never kept going, her freshman year, she would have never found the internship. Exactly. And, it's important to keep going, because you never know. It could be right behind the next door. Definitely. But you just didn't open the door, so you wouldn't have known.
Exactly. And I think it feeds into what building your network with your personal brand. Like you might send out like 50 LinkedIn requests and maybe only 3 people will get back to you. But guess what? If you were afraid about the chance of one person not responding, you never would have met those 3 people that are actually willing to help you have a conversation with you. And maybe one of those 3 will turn into a mentor who you don't know how they'll impact your life in the future. But yeah, not being less afraid of rejection opens you up to so many more opportunities in this world. And yeah.
The last thing,
I love that.
I love that. The last thing, you talk about your mentor a lot. The last thing I want to touch on is mentorship, because I feel like it's important to not only surround yourself around positive people, like-minded people, but make sure that you have somebody you're talking to who is in a place where you want to be, because they can give you advice of their, their success story that you may not have known, and then you could, avoid that obstacle just because you heard it. How has your mentor helped you get to where you want to be? And I mean, I guess because there was a time like when you didn't have a mentor.
Yeah.
And how has that kind of changed your, perspective on life and your career path?
Yeah, I think it's in multiple ways, from something as easy as just somebody to like look over your resume. Again, that's like external influence who can see you for who you are and knows how to really reflect that in your resume. So I think my mentors, I'm lucky, I'm very fortunate now to have a few different ones in my life who kind of help me out in different ways. But thinking back to like Naja and Nisha, they really looked over my resume. They're a few years older than me. They're in the marketing world and tech, which is what I'm really interested in. And they were able to say like, okay, this is what you worked on. This is how you should express it. And when I expressed my my goals to them, where I wanted to be in a few years, it was really impactful and exciting for them to say like, you can definitely do that. Because I think for me, sometimes I can be like, am I doing enough? Like, am I being successful enough? Am I pushing myself as much as I can? And them saying like, you know what, girl, when I was in your shoes a few years ago, like I wasn't even thinking this far ahead, and you're farther ahead than even where I was at that age. And to see that they're at a certain level of success already as like young women in their careers, it was really inspiring. And again, like just seeing like other women of color reaching certain statuses or just being able to accomplish certain things, it's always really important to me. Again, like you can have mentors for different things, and I think it's super important to find mentors who kind of align with you, whether it's culturally or your values or career-wise, to just see that, you can exist in those spaces, you can be successful in those spaces. And so I'm super grateful for them in that sense, just being able to see that my dreams can be realized.
I love that. I love that, because I feel like a lot of times we set these expectations for ourselves, and they're not too high. No expectation that you set for yourself is ever too high.
Exactly.
But it's like sometimes it does seem like it, because it's so far away that you're like, oh, I gotta climb a brick wall just to get there. Yes, but it starts with laying that one brick.
Exactly.
And I guess those mentors can remind you to, keep laying those bricks till you are able to build that brick wall that you can climb over.
Exactly. I'm big on this idea that you can only go as far as your mind lets you. Like nothing's impossible in this life until you think it's impossible. So having those mentors in your life who maybe have gone through similar situations, tough times, right? Me personally, right now I'm recruiting for internships. I'm interviewing. I got a really nice internship interview that I had, and I was feeling really good about it. And then a few hours later, I got an email from this other company that I wasn't proceeding, and it was the 3rd round, and I felt good about it, but they didn't choose me. And I also believe that everything happens for a reason. But I was able to text my mentor after and be like, oh, they got back to me, said they weren't proceeding with my interview anymore. And she's like, you know what, like I really believe in you. Like don't let this get you down. Like you got it. And again, it's just having those people in your life, in your corner, that are able to affirm you, even in the smallest of ways in those difficult times. Super important.
I love that. And we're gonna always, if you didn't take anything from this episode, which you should have taken a whole bunch from this episode, make sure that you take to put yourself out there and to keep going, whether you get it on the first try, the second try, or the 3rd try, or you don't get it on the 3rd try and you got to go for the 4th, because 1, 2, 3, the 3rd time's the charm. Sometimes the 3rd time is not the charm. You got to keep going.
Sometimes it's 20.
Sometimes it's 30, but actually it's only 20 because we're spilling tea in our 20s.
And we're in our 20s.
I know why I labeled it spilling tea in my 20s after how many months has it been? What, 3? But I'm really in my 20s now, so and I'm around people who are in their 20s, so I think it just fits.
It is
fits the personal brand.
I don't know, for some reason I've never been like, oh my god, on my birthday I feel this new age, but for some reason
we were talking about this.
When my 20s was approaching, I'm like, you know what, I'm so ready to be 20. Like I don't need to be 21, 22, but I'm ready to be 20 because I just don't feel like a teen anymore, and maybe it's just the things that are important to me now, what I'm prioritizing, focusing on. But this 20s, it feels right, and it feels like
good.
the energy we're in, you know, a little bit more mature, prioritized. You know?
And people can't keep calling me a teen because, you know, I'm in my 20s. But
20s.
I want to say thank you so much, Alyjah, for joining me in this conversation, and for the listeners for spilling into today's episode. Remember, building your personal brand takes time, effort, and putting yourself out there. But it's also an investment that will pay off in the end. Mm-hmm. So start truly embracing your authentic self, you know, and use your strengths as a, you know, building point to, you know, put yourself out there. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a like and a comment, and comment down below your LinkedIn so we can connect today, because I need to get to 500 connections.
We're gonna get you all the 500. Don't worry, I'll be your first connection.
We need to. Your mom won't be your first connection. It will be Alyjah. Okay, you heard it here first.
You ready for that?
Make sure you start your LinkedIn today. Like I'm talking about today. Mm-hmm. Your feedback means the world to me, and it helps me understand what you guys want. So make sure that you leave a comment for real, please. And don't forget to follow the official Spilling Tea with a POC Instagram at Spilling Tea with a POC. And stay tuned for more episodes. Until next time, keep spilling the tea. And make sure to follow Alyjah at...
Alyjah.love.
Ooh, I love that. Thank you guys for listening, and I will see you guys in the next podcast episode. Bye!